Welcome to the crash course in macros. So, a macros overview. Calories determine your overall weight. So, how many calories you eat on average over a long period of time per day, regardless of the macronutrient split. So, if you ate a high protein diet, a high carb diet, a high carb fat, if they're all equal in calories, your weight will be the same. You just have a different body composition. Your macro split, which is what percentage of your calories come from each macro, protein, carbs, fats, and alcohol, because that's all your calories are going to come from proteins, carbs, fats, and alcohol that are in the food and drinks that you consume. So the percentage of your macros determines your overall body composition, muscle versus fat. And it's also a big driver, a major factor in your physical health, mental health, your gut health, your health span, lifespan, et cetera. And it's the quality of the macros, because there are good fats and bad fats, good carbs and bad carbs. And more depends on the quantity you have. You can have some bad carbs and bad stuff in small amounts, but you have in big amounts, it gets pretty toxic for your body. Protein is the most important macro. Eat as much as you can, whether the goal is fat loss or muscle building, or both, because that's what it's going to do. Protein is going to build muscle, and it's going to help burn off body fat. It's going to make you feel fuller. It's hard to eat. Nobody's binge eating protein, and that's why people struggle to eat it, because it's not as rewarding as eating a cake or a cookie or ice cream or something that's high in carbs and fats and low in protein. So any food that you crave is probably low in protein, high in fats, carbs, and salts. Keep carb intake lower for fat loss and much higher for muscle building. So basically, it's just grains and starches. If you're trying to build muscle, eat a lot of grains and starches at every meal. If you're trying to lose fat, cut your grains and starches way back. It's as simple as that. Keep your fat intake lower for fat loss, and you can increase for muscle building to help hit calorie targets because fats have more calories, but you don't have to. You can keep your protein number and your fat loss number, your protein intake and fat intake can be the same, whether you're building muscle or losing fat, and the only difference is how many carbs you have. It's really that simple. You can enjoy alcohol in moderation if you choose to. I save it for special occasions. That's what I do. There's no physical health benefits to alcohol, but it can help with social and psychological well-being if enjoyed responsibly. I've had some of the best times of my life on alcohol. I don't like to drink it a ton now, but on special occasions, I'll have a good amount, not as much as I used to. And really, the most detrimental part of alcohol, I think, is to sleep. Man, it just kills your sleep, especially if you're drinking at night. So I kind of package it together with nicotine and caffeine. It's good to have during the day, and then stop having it because it's going to screw up your sleep, and that's going to just screw up everything. Macros 101, protein. Each gram of protein has 4 calories. Proteins are essential for survival. They're the building blocks for your body. They make up your DNA, your tissue, your organs, your muscles. It's the most under-eaten and most filling macro. It's difficult to overeat protein because it's very filling and it doesn't give you that rush that sugar and fats do, because it's not your body's not using it as an energy source. Your body doesn't need a ton of protein for survival, but in today's world where we're trying to be lean and muscular, you want to have more protein than is just needed for survival. Your body can't store protein like it can fats and carbs, except as skeletal muscle, and it's only going to store it as skeletal muscle in the right conditions. If you're lifting weights, your hormones are right, you're getting good sleep. Excess protein gets converted to carbs to be used as energy if you're in a calorie deficit. So your body say, I got all this extra protein, I'm going to convert it to sugars, and then I can burn. My brain can use it, my body can use that to burn, which is fine. It costs energy to do that. So it actually boosts your metabolism to convert protein to carbs. Almost impossible to overeat protein. I'll say it again. I eat as much protein as I want, and I'm super lean and muscular. Carbs have 4 calories per gram, just like protein. Carbs are not essential for survival. Humans can survive without carbs, but they're tasty and they actually fuel performance. And your brain likes them, so there's a lot of benefits to them. They are a fast-burning fuel source. So whenever you're doing high energy, high amounts of exercising, you're burning carbs. But also when you're stressed out, your body's going to burn carbs rather than body fat. So if you're chronically stressed, if you have low sleep, your body's running on carbs. You're not burning body fat, and your body is craving carbs. So that's what happens. So fix your sleep, fix your stress, and that'll help you with your carbohydrate craving. Your body can store not much, only 400, 600 grams of carbs in the liver and in your skeletal muscle. And your body wants to keep that store because if shit hits the fan and you need to fight or flight, you want to have a carb source. You want to have a fast-burning fuel source. So if this gets depleted and then you're stressed and you're doing a lot of activity, you're going to have huge cravings because your body's going to want to drive you to eat more carbs because it wants to keep that fuel source available. Excess carbs are stored as body fat if you're in a calorie surplus. Fats, 9 calories per gram of fat. Fats are essential for survival. If you don't have any fats, you will die. If your fats consumption is too low, you're going to feel awful and you're probably not going to look or perform very well either. It's a slow burning fuel source. So when a healthy individual is running on body fat, if they haven't eaten, you're burning body fat. A healthy individual, someone that doesn't have prediabetes or diabetes or any other metabolic syndromes, your body can store 100,000 grams of body fat. Think of someone who's 300, 400 pounds. They have over 100 kilograms of body fat on their body. And the limit of how much body fat you can carry varies from person to person. Some people can store a ton, some people can't. Excess dietary fats obviously are going to be stored as body fat if in a calorie surplus. And there's no cost for the body to convert dietary fat into body fat. It's basically the same thing. We're going to take it from your blood. There's more than it that you need, and we're going to put it into your fat cells. Whereas carbs, there's a cost of 5 to 10% of the energy in the carb is going to go to convert it. Whereas protein, 25 to 30% of the energy from each gram of protein is going to convert it into carbohydrate if it needs to burn it as energy. So alcohol is a different one. You don't usually count it in macros, but it's good to know. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram. It's obviously not essential for survival. It's poisonous in high acute doses, and it's also toxic in high chronic doses, as is just too many calories in general. It's toxic. It's going to hurt you in the long run if you're overeating carbs and fats in the long run. But none of these are going to kill you if you eat a bunch of it at once. Alcohol will kill you if you have too much in 30 minutes or an hour. The body can't store alcohol. It just stays in your blood. So your body's working to metabolize. Your liver is trying to metabolize the alcohol as fast as possible to remove it from the blood. This slows the metabolism of your other macros. And as they build up in your blood, your body's going to, I'm going to store all this extra, fats and carbs into my fat cells because it's building up in my blood and that's toxic. So your body's too busy burning alcohol to burn the other macros. And so if you eat while drinking alcohol, that's going to lead to more weight gain because your body's going to store more of those fats and carbs. And what do you usually eat when you're drinking alcohol? You eat bar food. You eat fries and burgers and nachos and pizzas. That's why it's easy to gain weight when you're drinking alcohol. It's not really the alcohol. It's the food you're eating with it and the amounts. Again, I've had alcohol for 20 plus years. I've never not drank alcohol, and sometimes large amounts, and I stayed lean. It's again, total calories and how active you are and what you're eating, how often, and it's just a numbers game. It adds up, but you can drink alcohol and stay lean. Fit and prime macro rules. We covered this in the calorie macro calculator, but let's review it. Protein, 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of target body weight. So if I weighed 300 pounds, I wouldn't use 300. I would use 225 because that's my target body weight per day. Try to hit that every day. Try to hit at least 0.8 grams per day. That for me, that's 200 grams. If I'm under that on occasional days, that's totally fine. But you make up for it by 90% of the time you're in this range. And that assumes you're doing regular strength training. If someone's not strength training, they can be lower. They can be like 0.5. Carbs, at least 0.5 grams per pound of target body weight per day. Some people are below this, like carnivore diet people, but to fuel performance, to feel your best, I think it's good to have at least 0.5 grams per pound. So that's 110 grams per day for me. Fat, at least 0.3 grams. This is actually more critical than the carbs because it promotes hormone health and skin and hair and other things. Alcohol, 0 alcohol is ideal for health, but you can drink responsibly in moderation to enjoy the social and psychological benefits of alcohol. I say save it for special occasions. I work with a lot of people who have a habit of drinking a couple beers every night after work. And when they cut that out or cut it back or cut it out, they lose weight pretty quick. So it adds up. Focus on hitting your daily protein first, meats and eggs primarily, protein shakes, then fill in the remainder of your targets between fats and carbs. Again, we cover this in the calorie macro calculator. The split between carbs and fats matters very little as long as you get your 0.3 grams of quality fats per pound of target body weight to support healthy hormone production. Examples of macro split recommendations by diet. Any diet will work if you're in a sustained calorie deficit, but the macro split will determine how much of the weight you gain is muscle versus fat or how much of the weight you lose is muscle versus fat. High protein means you're going to favor muscle as long as you're lifting weights. If you're not eating high protein, you're not lifting weights, you're going to lose more muscle in a calorie deficit and you're going to gain more fat in a calorie surplus. Look at the difference. RDA, this is what's on the back of all your labels, 10% of the calories from protein. This is outdated. It's not enough. This was based off of what's the minimum amount, the cheapest way we can feed cattle. And that's how this was derived. cheapest way you can feed cattle that they'll survive, they'll grow, and this was it, and this is what they apply to the human population. Cheapest way to feed a human population is this. Lean gains method, 50 to 60% of calories from protein is very high. It would work, but it's going to be very hard to do for most people. You're eating a lot of meat, lean meats, and not much carbs and fats. I'm not going to read through all of these, but a cut versus a bulk, you're going to have more of your calories and carbs in a bulk when you're gaining weight than in a cut. But you can see that they're pretty similar. Again, balanced. Now, here we're getting to the extreme diets, vegetarian or vegan. It's going to be a lot more carbs, and you can get some proteins from those plants, but very little fat. High in carbs. A paleo is going to be high in fats because it's a lot of nuts and meats. No veggies and fruits, really. A ketogenic diet is going to be low in protein and carbs and very high in fats. Again, this is kind of a fad, and it works. It works because you're in a calorie deficit, but you're probably going to lose muscle. This is not going to be conducive for maintaining muscle because the protein is so low. And you can't convert carbs and fats into protein, but you can convert protein into carbs and fats. Carnivore diet, high in meat, so it's going to be high in protein and fat, very little carbs because you're not eating fruits and vegetables. Fit and prime, you can see the ranges, 20 to 30%, but this is just a percentage of total calories, so it doesn't tell like the absolute, because the protein here is going to pretty much stay the same across all three. And then honestly, the fat pretty much stays the same, just the carb number changes. Less carbs in a cut, more carbs in a bulk. That's Macros 101. Time to take action.